The T-90S is the latest development in the T-series of Russian tanks and represents an increase in firepower, mobility and protection. It is manufactured by the Eurovagonzavod plant in Nizhny Tagil, Potkin's Bureau, of the Russian Federation. The T-90S is in service with the Russian Army and the Indian Army. In February 2001, the Indian Army signed a contract for 310 T-90S tanks. 124 were completed in Russia and the rest are being delivered for final assembly in India. The first of these was delivered in January 2004. The locally assembled tanks are christened Bhishma. The tanks are fitted with the Shtora self-protection system and thermal imagers from Thales of France and Pelling of Belarus. In January 2005, it was announced that a further 91 T-90S tanks would be procured for the Russian Army. 31 are due to be delivered in 2006. In March 2006, Algeria signed a contract for the supply of 180 T-90S tanks from Eurovagonzavod, to be delivered by 2011. In November 2006, India ordered a further 300 T-90 tanks, to be license-built by Heavy Vehicle Factory, HVF, Avadi. Deliveries are to begin in 2008. History. Derived from the T-72, the GPO Eurovagonzavod T-90 main battle tank is the most modern tank in the Russian Army's arsenal. The successor to T-72BM, the T-90 uses the gun and one G46 gunner sights from T-80U, a new engine, and thermal sights. Protective measures include Kontakt-5 ERA, laser warning receivers, and the Shtora infrared ATGM jamming system. Kontakt-5 is a Russian type of third-generation explosive reactive armor. It is the first type of ERA which is effectively able to defeat modern APFSDS rounds. Introduced on the T-80U tank in 1985, Kontakt-5 is made up of bricks of explosives sandwiched between two metal plates. The plates are arranged in such a way as to move sideways rapidly when the explosive detonates. This will force an incoming KE penetrator or shaped charge jet to cut through more armor than the thickness of the plating itself, since new plating is constantly fed into the penetrating body. A KE penetrator will also be subjected to powerful sideways forces, which might be large enough to cut the rod into two or more pieces. This will significantly reduce the penetrating capabilities of the penetrator, since the penetrating force will be dissipated over a larger volume of armor. By 1992, the Russian Defense Ministry announced that it could no longer afford to manufacture two MBTs in parallel, since both the quality, T-80U, and the cheaper, quantity, T-72B were each being built at one plant, and each plant was critical to the economy of the city it was in. The government gave small orders to both. Omsk built 5 T-80s and Nizhny Tagil 15 T-72s, and both built more against the hope of winning large export orders. Nizhny Tagil had built a few T-72BMs, T-72BS upgraded with a third-generation add-on explosive reactive armor, called Kontakt-5, which was already in service on the T-80U MBT. Kontakt-5 has been succeeded by the newer Cactus type, which is currently only seen on prototype tanks such as the T-80U M2 Black Eagle tank. To further improve the T-72's export prospects and its chances of being selected as Russia's sole production MBT, the T-80U's more sophisticated fire control system was also added to produce a vehicle-designated T-72BU. Finally, since worldwide news coverage during Desert Storm had firmly established the image of the T-72 as a burning Iraqi tank, the new model was renamed T-90. The Russian Defense Ministry made a selection of a single MBT in 1995. The fighting in Grozny had been shown around the world and the reputation of Russian tanks suffered. Although many casualties were due to bad tactics and many T-72s were also lost, it was the knocked-out T-80s which made an impression. More had been expected of the quality T-80 MBT. This is alleged to have tipped the balance against the T-80 in the selection. The T-80 was already more expensive and its delicate, fuel-hungry turbine engine was still giving problems. In January 1996, Alexander Galkin, chief of the Main Armor Directorate of the Ministry of Defense, announced that the T-90 had been selected as the sole Russian MBT. The T-90 went into low-level production in 1993, based on a prototype designated as the T-88. The T-90 was developed by the Kartsev Venedictov Design Bureau at the Vagonka Works in Nizhny Tagil. Initially thought by Western observers to be an entirely new design, the production model is in fact based on the T-72BM, with some added features from the T-80 series. The T-90 features a new generation of armor on its hull and turret. Two variants, the T-90S and T-90E, have been identified as possible export models. Plans called for all earlier models to be replaced with T-90s by the end of 1997, subject to funding availability. By mid-1996, some 107 T-90s had gone into service in the Far Eastern Military District. Of conventional layout, the T-90 represents a major upgrade to every system in the T-72, including the main gun. The T-90 is an interim solution, pending the introduction of the new Nizhny Tagil MBT, which has been delayed due to lack of funding. Produced primarily mainly due to its lower cost, the T-90 will probably remain in low-rate production to keep production lines open until newer designs become available. Several hundred of these tanks have been produced, with various estimates suggesting that between 100 and 300 are in service, primarily in the Far East. The T-90 retains the low silhouette of the earlier Soviet tanks. The glacis is well sloped, and is covered by second-generation ERA bricks and a large transverse rib that extends horizontally across the glacis. The driver sits at the front of the hull and has a single-piece hatch cover that opens to the right, in front of which is a single wide-angle observation periscope. Integrated fuel cells and stowage containers give a streamlined appearance to the fenders. The tank has a toothed shovel/dozer blade on the front of the hull beneath the glacis. There are attachment points beneath the blade for the KMT-6 mine-clearing plow. The low, rounded turret is centered on the hull. The commander's cupola is on the right side of the turret. The gunner's hatch is on the left side. The 125mm main gun has a 4-section removable thermal shield. It has 2 sections in front of, and 2 sections to the rear of the mid-tube bore evacuator. A 7.62 mm coaxial machine gun is mounted to the right of the mantlet. The T-90 mounts 2 infrared searchlights on either side of the main armament. These are part of the Shtora-1 ATGM defense system. The turret is covered with second-generation reactive armor on the frontal arm. This ERA gives the turret an angled appearance, with the ERA bricks forming a clamshell. There are ERA bricks on the turret roof to provide protection from top attack weapons. There are banks of smoke mortars on either side of the turret. The second-generation ERA package, combined with the advanced armor technology, makes the T-90 one of the best protected main battle tanks in the world.